running back Alvin Kamara has been indicted on 2 criminal charges in Las Vegas.
A $10 million civil suit against Kamara in Louisiana. Alvin Kamara's attorneys will continue to try to resolve this case without a trial through some kind of plea agreement.
We have an update on Alvin Kamara, and unfortunately, this isn't really a good one. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you can tell, I'm not necessarily in my studio, so I don't really have the greatest lighting, so my apologies. I'm technically supposed to be on vacation now. So before we get to the content, if you want to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notification to help support the grind, that'd be greatly appreciated. And now that we got all of that out of the way, work! So many of my subscribers listened to me and made bank on the Super Bowl, bro. Remember when I told you to sign up with my promo code Mikerophone to get a $100 deposit match? And then said this? And if Kenneth Gainwell gets more than 21.5 rush yards, you could 3x your money. Now, if you feel really good about this, you could also add Travis Kelce scoring 1 touchdown. And if both of these hit, you 5x your money. Well, a lot of you guys slid into my DMs on Instagram to show me how much money you made because of this hit. So a huge shout out to all of you, man. I only have my promo code live for 2 more weeks, so I'm still gonna be posting my picks onto my Instagram account at The Flight Mike, and we're definitely gonna make some picks for the XFL and the USFL. And I post NBA picks onto my Instagram story on a daily basis. So make sure you sign up with my promo code Microphone to get a $100 deposit match while it's still active. And thank you, Prize Picks, for making us all a bunch of money on Super Bowl Sunday. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Let me take you back to the Pro Bowl. No, not the flag football game that took place right before the Super Bowl this year, the 2022 Pro Bowl. This was a very interesting Pro Bowl because it was probably the last legitimate tackle Pro Bowl game that we've ever gotten. And let me know in the comment section down below if you like the direction that the Pro Bowl is taking and if you support the Pro Bowl games or not. But what was really interesting is what took place immediately after the Pro Bowl, when we immediately found out that Saints running back Alvin Kamara was arrested and charged with battery resulting in substantial bodily harm. At the time, he was arrested and released on a $5,000 bond after being charged with battery resulting in substantial bodily harm. Detectives obtained surveillance footage from the casino that matched the victim's account of the events. According to the police report, Kamara pushed the victim and another male in the group, punched the victim in the face, and knocked him against the wall. Kamara then punched the victim several times. 3 others in the group then joined in, stomping on the victim's face, chest, and legs. The victim, who was knocked unconscious, had an orbital fracture to his right eye and other minor injuries, according to the police report. The incident took place at 6:25 a.m. on Saturday on the eve of the Pro Bowl at Dre's After Dark nightclub in the Cromwell Casino. If you want any indication at all whatsoever that these players truly don't give a about the Pro Bowl, this is probably the biggest indicator. If they're out at the club at 6:25 a.m. the morning that the Pro Bowl is supposed to take place, not that I'm holding it against any of these players because I'd probably do the same thing if I was in their place, what does that tell you about the state of the Pro Bowl right now? Now, the report was made on Saturday at a local hospital, which officers were dispatched to around 5:50 p.m. Pacific time. Kamara was arrested on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time after the Pro Bowl, which he played in. The victim was only able to describe one of the 4 men in his interview, but Kamara was identified by surveillance footage and an internet search comparing tattoos and photos to the man in the picture. Another man in the group was identified via his social media account that tagged Kamara in photos of the group at Dre's that night. Man, it's just ridiculous whenever you see accomplices really contributing to them figuring out what actually went on behind the scenes in this instance. Kamara would get interviewed by detectives inside Allegiant Stadium after the Pro Bowl. Bear in mind, Kamara was allowed to play in the Pro Bowl once they found out what was going on, and upon finding out what went on, they arrested him immediately after. Now, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said that the league knew about Kamara's situation prior to the Pro Bowl. They still allowed him to play in this meaningless game. Now, what they said is, our security team was contacted by the police in Las Vegas just prior to the game saying that they would like to meet with Alvin after the game. He said at a press conference on Wednesday ahead of the Super Bowl. Our team made sure that happened. Kamara would post a $5,000 bond and then would begin one of the greatest games of cat and mouse that I think I have ever followed throughout my career. Most of you guys up until this point probably know this part of the story. We've covered it extensively on this channel, and every time there was a little update, I would make sure to bring it to you guys. And the updates would get more and more severe. I mean, the very first update that we got was obviously this man was trying to sue Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara sued over alleged Vegas beatdown, man seeking $10 million. New Orleans Saints superstar Alvin Kamara is being sued for allegedly attacking a man outside a Vegas nightclub during Pro Bowl weekend in February, TMZ Sports has confirmed. Plaintiff Darnell Green claims that he was among a group of people waiting for an elevator near Dre's around 6:30 a.m. when Kamara put his hand on his chest to keep him from entering the lift. Green said the running back then shoved him into a wall and repeatedly punched him in the face. This situation does not look good for Alvin Kamara at all whatsoever. I would not be surprised if 30% or like 35% of his career earnings went to this case alone because of the amount of evidence there is against Alvin Kamara. I mean, first things first, if you're Alvin Kamara, you have to know you're fairly recognizable, and people know that you're in Las Vegas for the Pro Bowl. So if that's the case, there are some people that will try to instigate a confrontation or some sort of fight with you in order to secure a large payday because they know you're raking in millions of dollars. Bear in mind, this wasn't that far away from when Alvin Kamara secured a huge bag, which for running backs is fairly atypical. Now, we're not even at the tip of the iceberg of how crazy this gets. Wait until you see the pictures, wait until you see the video footage. Green would lawyer up and is seeking $10 million in compensatory and punitive damages. The brutal, violent assault broke Green's orbital lobe, severely injured his shoulder, back, and neck, and left him temporarily unconscious and helpless on the floor. Green claims that Kamara boasted about his role in the alleged beatdown, saying, "I connected with the human's jaw so hard." The alleged injuries were so bad that Green stated that he would need to undergo multiple surgeries in order to repair the damage done to his body. Medical testing confirmed a disfiguring facial fracture to Green's right orbital bone, a blunt force trauma to his head, multiple disc protrusions, and structural tears in his shoulder. The lawsuit provides pictures of Green's bloody face following the alleged beatdown, as well as still shots from the security footage. And Green claims that NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell hasn't taken any action to discipline Kamara. Now, here's the crazy thing. This isn't new news either. I mean, we have a ton of photos to show you as well, in addition to actual video footage, which was probably the most recent update we had about this situation, which was about 3 months ago. And in this footage, you could clearly see that Alvin Kamara was very involved in beating the living crap out of this man. Bro, I'm not saying that you should fight people. I'm not saying violence is ever the answer, but we've covered a lot of these instances before. We even mentioned it in the Michael Irvin video that we recently made, how Michael Irvin's declaring war on that woman that is accusing him of misconduct, which resulted in Michael Irvin not being able to cover the Super Bowl. If you guys missed that, I highly recommend you check it out. It's a very important video for you guys to see. But if you're in a hotel, I'm sorry to break this to you, there's cameras everywhere, especially in Las Vegas. I know there's a saying that says what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Doesn't apply here. I mean, they take videos of everything. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that goes on, especially considering how drunk people get in Vegas, along with some other extracurricular activities they might be doing. No, I'm not accusing Alvin Kamara of extracurriculars, but you get what I'm saying. There's a lot of cameras in these hotels. So the worst place to ever beat the crap out of someone is in the hotel. An even worse place in the hotel to beat the crap out of someone is in front of the elevator. I don't remember the last time I was in a Las Vegas hotel that didn't have some sort of surveillance camera in the elevator. So Alvin Kamara's side would claim that Darnell Green was trying to purposely escalate the situation. Alvin Kamara reared back and punched a man repeatedly during a violent altercation inside of a Las Vegas hotel earlier this year. New video obtained by TMZ Sports shows, but sources connected with Kamara say that the video doesn't tell the full story, claiming that the alleged victim became violent first. So Darnell Green Green said that the altercation all went down after he and the New Orleans Saints superstar got into an argument outside of the elevator of the hotel's popular Dre nightclub. Green alleged that he tried to get on the lift with Kamara and Kamara's associates. He claimed in his suit that the football player barred from him getting on, throwing his arm across Green's chest, and then brutally attacking him. The new footage, you can see Kamara wearing a light shirt and signature dreads, throwing multiple blows at Green. The clip shows punches ultimately took the man to the ground, and while down, the video shows several other men jumping into the attack, kicking and stomping the guy before clearing out. The footage appears to match pictures that Green's attorneys included in the lawsuit against Kamara last month. According to the suit, as a result of the beatdown, Green suffered injuries to the neck, back, head, shoulder, knees, and face, including a disfiguring facial fracture to his right orbital bone. Now, it's also interesting to note that Kamara did admit to punching Green, and this is where it gets really interesting, because if you recall, in the earlier part, like before the regular season started, this is so indicative of like the state of our society and how football fans are, but people were very concerned about whether or not they could draft Alvin Kamara to their fantasy football team. So Adam Schefter came on NFL Live and said this.
So if we're talking about Alvin Kamara from a fantasy standpoint, there's a real chance, Field, that the status of that case is not going to affect his availability this season. Now, at some point in time, depending on what the investigation shows, yes, he could be disciplined. But in terms of this season, his attorneys keep pushing out the case. It keeps being pushed back. And by the time that there's resolution to it, this season may well be underway, and Alvin Kamara may be on the field for the majority, if not all, of this season.
This is where the game of cat and mouse started, because there would be a court trial set for Alvin Kamara, and they would push it further and further and further to the point where it was clear that Alvin Kamara was going to be able to play in a full NFL season. Honestly, I think he should have probably sat it out based off of how the New Orleans Saints season went. Jokes aside, the most recent update we have is it looks like Alvin Kamara can't really kick the can down the curb anymore, because according to David Charnes, a Clark County grand jury has indicted New Orleans Saints running back Alvin Kamara and 3 others for an alleged beating at a Las Vegas nightclub last year. The grand jury indicted the 4 men Wednesday on charges of conspiracy to commit battery and battery resulting in substantial bodily harm. So at this point, now that Alvin Kamara is actually going to have to face this head on, there's multiple ways that this could be solved. 1, there could be a settlement agreement, or 2, this could go to trial. I don't necessarily know how motivated Green is to like take this to trial, because it seems like a lot of evidence is favoring Darnell Green at this point. And if this does go to trial, which I'm pretty sure this is just going to end up in a settlement. I mean, again, this could just be a human being that really has it out for Alvin Kamara after what happened to him, and I wouldn't blame him. But Alvin Kamara's career could be in jeopardy here, or he could lose a decent sum of money as a result of the situation. So we're going to keep you guys up to date on everything, man. Make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.